Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel.
Hello.
Hi! Happy New Year's everyone!
Happy New Year.
Happy 2021! I don't know about you guys, but I am very excited for this new year coming up. Safe to say 2020 was not the year anyone expected or really wanted, I think. So this New Year's feels especially nice and especially refreshing and especially hopeful. At least that's how it's feeling for me. But it's a new year, and so I am, as I always do, setting up a new bullet journal. I haven't done a bullet journaling video in so long, so I really wanted to film my new bullet journal setup for you guys. Honestly, it's not that much different from my last bullet journal setup, which I filmed and put on my channel. I've made a few changes, and I have a few spreads that I'm including this year that I'm really excited for. A few of them I was unfortunately not able to film during this setup because I didn't have the supplies that I needed. You'll see about like halfway through one of my spreads I actually ran out of glue. My glue stick ran out, so I've had to go back after filming this and like fix up a few of my spreads, just put on the finishing touches. But I will say, if you want to see the other spreads that I didn't manage to film, I will probably be posting pictures of them to Instagram or my Tumblr. And I also think I might not film a January setup. I was thinking of doing one of those as well after this, but I think what I'm going to do is I will post a few pictures to my Instagram of my January setup, and then at the end of the month do a flip through instead of a setup, because I haven't done a flip through before and I thought it could be kind of fun. Anyway, this year I am using the Leuchtturm 1917 Journal of the Classic. This is the journal that I've been using for the past like 4 years now. I absolutely love them. The pages are just dotted. I don't use the grid ones. But this journal I am so in love with. It's this beautiful sage green color. Green is a color that I have been absolutely loving. About halfway through 2020, I fell in love with this kind of green. And so I thought, hey, why not make it my bullet journal color for 2021? And I kind of stuck with the green color throughout my setup. So green is like the main color that I use for all of my setups, but I also go in with a bit of pink and a bit of yellow as well. On the front of my bullet journal, you would have seen I put just like a little piece of card that's like this green checkered kind of pattern, which I thought was really cute. I might put something else on there or write something, but I thought that was just like a nice little accent for the front cover. And then in the front page, I wrote my name just in my green Tombow pen. I had some little pink sparkles next to it, which I thought was really cute. I kind of want to go back and fill up my front cover with like pictures or maybe like a mood board or something. I kind of want to do a little collage, just make it like seem like a little bit more fun when I open my bullet journal. But I didn't do that today. Again, I really didn't have that many supplies and barely enough glue to stick down what I managed to stick down in this video. So the first spread that I always do in my bullet journal is a yearly calendar. So here I'm setting up my 2021 calendar. I think for the past 2 or 3 years now I've been doing it this way, where I get like a kind of colored paper and I cut out squares and I do interchanging months on these colored papers. I think it just looks really nice. It looks really cute, adds a little bit of color to the spreads. I would have really liked to have done this with green paper, but I only had yellow, so I am doing a yellow 2021 calendar page. This is usually one of the pages that like takes, I think, the longest for me, just because I do have to cut out all of the pieces of paper and then you have to write out all the numbers for every single month. But I'm not gonna lie, this setup this year took me a really long time. I think I was sitting and filming for about 2.5 hours, maybe more. And I mean, I didn't even get to do all the pages that I wanted to. But it was really, really nice. As you can see, I had a nice little setup. I had a candle going, I had some coffee. It was just really relaxing. I mean, I know some people don't like how long it can take to set up a bullet journal, but I find it really just nice and relaxing. So I really didn't mind how long it took me to do this year. And of course, like, if the time it takes to set up a bullet journal is something that intimidates you, you really don't have to spend that much time. As you'll see, like, a bunch of the spreads that I'm putting in are really specific to what I want or like need to track for this year. You really don't have to put them in there like extra spreads. And I mean, this yearly calendar spread isn't something that you need to put in necessarily, but I find that it's a really good reference page to have. I like putting it at the front of my journal so I can look back on it when I'm doing my other yearly spreads and also my monthly setups as well. It's just really handy, and again, like, I've found a way that I really like setting it up. I think it looks really cute, so I always make it a point to include this spread in my bullet journal. But again, you could make it a whole lot easier by just not doing the different colored card thing. You could just write out all of the months, and that would be super quick and super easy. But something else that I made sure to do in this bullet journal setup was to make sure that all of the pages that I did start working on in this video, that I finished them, that I made sure that they were full before moving on to the next one. You'll see my next spread after my 2021 calendar is kind of like a little vision board, kind of, just collage page. I've always wanted to put one of these in my bullet journal, and I always leave a blank space at the front of my bullet journal, and every year I'm like, I'll go back and I'll fill this up sometime, or I'll fill it up over the year with like things that I find, and I never do. And let me tell you, having a blank page at the front of my bullet journal is something that makes me so mad. So I did something about it this year. I made sure to fill it in. Here we go, on camera. You guys are seeing it right now. I basically just got a bunch of like pictures and like quotes and stuff, mostly from Pinterest, honestly. I know there's like a bit of controversy, I guess you could say, about resources for your bullet journal, like finding pictures, giving credit to artists and all that stuff. And I know Pinterest is really, really bad. Like, anyone can just upload anything onto Pinterest, and it's pretty easy to lose the original source, so like the original artist of the image. So unfortunately, I don't know who any of these pictures really belong to, but I think they look really cute. So I'm sticking them all in. I had a bit of fun like figuring out where I wanted everything to go. I also left, like, there are a few little spaces where I'm gonna go in and put in some writing. I did leave those spaces blank because I just didn't want to write too much on camera. I'm not even gonna lie, I think at this point my hands were already getting a little bit tired, so I did try to just kind of keep my setup to a minimal. But I mean, there were only little spaces that I left, so I am gonna go back in and fill those out. But yeah, I just got pictures that I really liked from online. I think that's like a question that I've had a few times before from people, is like, where do I get my pictures? How do I decide on a theme? How do I decide on what I'm putting in my bullet journal? And honestly, I really just go through Pinterest. I think for this spread, I googled like pink quotes or green quotes. I like stuck to a color scheme. But even just looking up like general aesthetic online, so like if you have a word, so like, I don't know, there's like a moth on one of the pictures that I put in, so if you put in like moth aesthetic or like moth drawing aesthetic or something like that on Pinterest, or even on Tumblr's also a really great place to find pictures. You'll find a bunch of stuff, and that's something I really like about Pinterest, is that when you find something that you like, it suggests other kind of similar looking pictures and things like that. So Pinterest is a really great way to find things to put in your bullet journal if you're looking for that. I know some people draw in their bullet journal, and I wish I could do that, but one, I am too scared of making mistakes, and two, it's just like, that is just too time consuming for me. Like, I have a limit on how much time I want to be spending on my bullet journal, and cutting and sticking out pictures fine. Spending like several hours or even several days drawing and making art in my bullet journal is not something that I personally want to do. So if you are looking for a way to just add a little bit of spice to your bullet journal, I would recommend printing and cutting out, sticking in pictures. I think it's really easy and it always looks really, really cute. Honestly, I'm just so happy that this page is like full. It felt really, really satisfying to have like the first front pages of my bullet journal filled up. I did have to leave the next spread blank though, because that is going to be my goals spread for the year, and when I was filming this I hadn't set my goals for 2021, and also that's like not a private thing, but it kind of is. I do think I want to do a video discussing a few of my goals, probably more like goals for YouTube and reading, maybe a few writing goals as well, but not all of my goals. I won't be talking about all of my goals. I mean, I don't think I usually show my goal setups when I film bullet journal videos anyway. But yeah, I left that blank. Maybe expect a goals video from me soon. But the next spread that I went and set up was my future log. This spread is pretty much the same as it always is. I did actually consider not doing a future log spread this year because I didn't really use mine last year. And I thought about not doing one this year, but I realized I wouldn't have used my future log spread last year because it was 2020 and we spent like half of the year in lockdown. No one was making any plans for the future, really. So I decided to include it this year, give it another go. I also made a few changes. So I saw a bunch of people doing this in their 2021 bullet journal setups and I loved it, so I've actually gone and made a few of my future log spreads on like Dutch door pages, but basically I just cut my page in like I cut like a third off my page, and so some of my future log pages are a little bit shorter, which I think is just like really cute. It's a little bit fun, it's a little bit different. I really want to get like a kind of sticky, like maybe some washi tape or like a sticky tab, so I can put little flags on it so I can find the shorter pages easier to turn, because I will say because they're shorter it is a little bit harder to separate them and like pick them up off the page. But overall I'm like really happy with this and how it looks. I think Amanda H. Lee did a spread kind of like this, except she like cut out a bunch of her pages. Like she did like a whole thing, but hers looked really cool too. If you're not watching her bullet journal videos, what are you doing? Go check them out. But I just thought this was like a fun way of changing up a spread that I've done for so many years and am kind of getting bored of. I did also leave the space between the month and like the actual days blank. I don't know, usually I put in a calendar there, I write out all the months again, but I didn't really want to do that this year, and I think I might use it to like write down either month-long events. So for example, in November is NaNoWriMo, I think I might just like write that up the top, or even I was thinking I could do it, like I could write down some goals or like habits that I want to work on in upcoming months. I thought that could be kind of fun. Basically, I don't really know what I'm putting in those like blank spaces, but I'll figure something out. Basically, I just really didn't want to go and write out 12 months, actually 14 months, because I put the January and February of 2022 at the end as well. I do really like having just like a little glimpse into the next year, just in case I don't know, I make plans for the start of next year. It's nice to just have that little space there to include those plans. And I mean, it's a future log. You're meant to look into the future. I mean, the spread is pretty simple. It is also pretty time consuming, I will say. It was definitely less time consuming this year because I didn't write out all of the months, all the dates of the months in the little squares up the top. but it's still kind of long, and usually I would say worth it, but I mean, after last year, I really don't know if I stand by that. This year is definitely going to be a test. If I don't use my future log this year, I will cut it out of my bullet journal setup next year for sure. After my future log, I left 2 spreads blank because I want to go in and add like a birthday page so I can write down everyone's birthdays, and I also want to put in a moon calendar. Again, this was like one of those spreads where I didn't have the supplies that I needed, and also for my birthday page I want to try something a little bit different where I kind of write down birthdays not by month but by star sign, just because I think that would be kind of fun and a little bit cute, especially because it would be next to the moon calendar, kind of have a little astrology themed spread. I thought that, but I had to leave the next 2 pages blank. But after that I went in and started setting up a dynamic kanban board. This is something that I have known about for a while, and I tried doing it last year but on a quarterly spread, and it was like it just didn't work for that period of time. So I've decided to do a 2021 yearly kanban board so I can track my writing projects over the year. If you don't know what a dynamic kanban board is, I'm going to leave a link to the video where I first discovered it down in the description. Elizabeth explains it a lot better than I probably can, but basically it is just an interactive tracking page, which is really, really good for like if you have something where you have lots of things to track. So for example, I have several writing projects that I'm going to be working on this year, so this will be really handy for that. On the left page, basically I'm just drawing 3 lines on the side, 3 columns, and those 3 columns are going to be where I record dates. So the date that I start a project, the date that I want to finish a project, and also like the actual completion date, you know, depending on if I actually stick to the deadline or not. And so this is kind of like a log page where I can, you know, set goals and track my progress kind of in a written format. And then on the right page, I'm just putting little tabs on the right hand side, and each tab represents a different like stage of the writing progress. So for example, the top tab says planning, the next one says research, there's one for drafting, there's one for editing. I did, I think, 8 tabs in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did 7. And basically how I'm going to use this page is I'm going to get little sticky notes, sticky tabs, and I'm going to write the name of a writing project on each one, and then you can stick it next to each part, like each tab, so you can see which part of the writing process I am at on that project. And then obviously when you move, say from like outlining to drafting, you can move the sticky tabs around on the page. I think this is just going to be a really fun spread, and I'm really hoping that it will help me with my writing this year, keeping track of my writing, and I mean actually getting progress done. I'm hoping that having a visual tracker will really motivate me to make progress. And then on the next page, I jump straight into setting up a YouTube tracker / planner page. This spread was inspired by Ashley over at Best Dressed. She's done a few bullet journal videos, I think, and in her first one, the one where she set up her bullet journal, she basically just did a spread where she writes the name of the month and then she writes down the dates that she posts a video. I think she posts a video every Thursday, so she was writing down the dates of every Thursday. So what I've done is I have done the date, I've done the title of the month, and then I've gone through and written down the days for every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, because I really want to try and get back to uploading 3 videos a week this year, and those are the days that I upload. So I definitely think mine took a little bit more time than Ashley's did, and also mine took up a lot more space. I had to do the 12 months over 3 pages, but that's okay because on the 4th page I kind of just made it a whole YouTube spread. I did a video planning page. I just wrote video planning up the top and left it blank because it's like a brainstorming page. I'll fill it out as the year goes on. But I'm actually really happy with how this spread came out. It's like really simple, which is great. Really easy to set up. The hardest thing about it was having to write this many dates down, but I mean even that wasn't so bad. And when I was setting it up, I was a little bit worried, like if I don't manage to upload 3 videos every week, I was a bit worried about having a spread that is mostly blank, but I honestly think it'll be okay. I'm trying with these like yearly tracker spreads. They're not there to put pressure on myself, they're there to motivate me and remind me that like these are things, like this is something that I actually want to do. I'm hoping that it'll motivate me to make videos because it's something I've kind of been struggling with. I mean, that's probably not surprising to anyone. I didn't post any videos in December, I don't think, and that's okay. I'm really hoping to be back, but I am really hoping that this spread will also give me a little push and motivate me to make videos, even if I am not feeling like it. So that's a really nice simple spread. Again, I mean, if you don't have a YouTube channel, this isn't something that you have to put in. I think Ashley said that it could be really helpful if you were like a student and you had assignments, or if you have like a job where you do lots of projects, or you have like meetings every week or something like that. You could definitely adapt this spread into whatever you want. But this is one of those spreads that I was talking about where like you don't have to include this in your setup. The kanban board was also one of those where you don't have to include in your setup, and this next spread is also one that you don't have to include in your setup, but it's something that I include in my setup every year, and that is a reading tracker / book log. I don't know why, I just really like setting this up at the back of my bullet journal. There's no reason, I think it's like really nice. But the setup is really simple. It's pretty much the same as last year's one. I just removed one of the columns. I'm going in here with a yellow pen, but I just want to say that I did, after filming, go back over it with green, because I ended up really not liking the yellow. I really wanted it to be green, so I changed that. But basically I have a little column on the left hand side of every page where I write down like the number of the book. So I've put the numbers 1 to 200 because my goal for 2021 is to read 200 books. So this reading log is taking up, I think, like 6 pages. It's a big one. But then next to the number I have a space for the title. Then I have 3 columns where I will write the date, the genre of the book, and the format, so whether I read it as an ebook or a paperback, you know, or an audiobook. I don't know, I don't really listen to audiobooks, but I'm going to write down the format. And then next to that I have a larger column where I will put my star rating out of 5. Last year I changed it where I started drawing the stars in, and I think that looks really cute, so I've left a bit of a bigger space. And then at the right side of the page I have a little space for notes, if there are any notes I want to write next to the book. For example, if it's a book that I read for my book club, or if it's a book that I read for a video, for a class, anything like that. So that's basically how I set up my reading log, and I only put the titles on the top of the first page, and then I just fill the rest of the pages up top to bottom with columns, so the spread doesn't have to take up any more space than it already does. And then going further into the back of my bullet journal a little bit more, I decided to put in a completely new spread. I've never done this before. I've never seen anyone do this before. I've never heard of this being done before, but this was a spread that I was inspired to make from the 100 Days of Productivity Challenge on Tumblr, but also one of my personal goals for 2021 is to reflect more on my achievements. So I decided to set up a yearly achievement log. I've titled it 365 Days of Achievement, and basically on the left hand side of the page I have gone and written down the numbers 1 to 365. This took up I think 11 pages in the end. I thought it was only going to take 10, but I ended up running out of space at the end. So what I did was, after filming this, I went and I cut out a blank page from one of my old bullet journals and stuck it in and created like a little foldover page. And I mean, this is a really simple setup, a really simple spread, but just writing all the numbers 1 to 365 was so tiring. I think around the 200s I started messing up a little bit. I started getting my numbers mixed up. Counting from 100 to 365 took a lot more concentration than I was expecting, but I think this is just a really, really nice spread. Again, I was a little bit worried about the pressure that the spread could potentially bring, but I think that pressure is like not as bad because it's the back of my bullet journal, but also because I mean I haven't given myself any like restrictions, I guess, on what an achievement is. An achievement could be anything. It could be anything from eating a really good meal to handing in an assignment, to finishing a book, to uploading a YouTube video, to going for a walk, to having just like a good happy day. It could literally just be anything. I'm just really hoping that this spread will help me reflect on some of the better things in my life each day. I also, each month I set up a gratitude log. The spread was kind of inspired by those. The only difference is I only do monthly gratitude logs. I did consider doing a 365-day gratitude log behind this, but I'm not gonna lie, after writing out 365 numbers by hand once, I knew I didn't want to do it again. So I'm gonna stick to the monthly gratitude logs this year, I think. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I'd be able to talk for the whole video, but it seems I managed to do just fine. That's the last spread that I set up in this bullet journal. So let me show you guys a few close-ups. I know this video was filmed like kind of far away. I was at my mom's house when I was filming this, so my setup was a little bit different, as you can probably tell, and I just had to make do with what I could find in terms of tripod slash stacking for like height, so you guys could actually see me set it up. But I realize you can't really see in detail from that far away. So here are all the close-ups of my 2021 bullet journal setup. Really excited to use this bullet journal this year. I will say, finally, after 4 or 5 years of bullet journaling, I feel excited to be starting a new bullet journal and not intimidated, which is really nice and honestly very refreshing. But that is it for this video. Once again, Happy New Year's, Happy 2021. It feels really good to be back on YouTube, and I hope I will be back soon with another video, back to my 3-day upload schedule. Hopefully I will have a video coming out soon talking about some of those goals that I was talking about, and of course some bookish and writing content as well. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you liked this bullet journal setup. I will see you guys soon with another video, and I will see you guys at the end of the month for hopefully a bullet journal flip through. Bye!